Hi, my name is Nick and this right here is the Suzuki Jimny, a budget-friendly four-wheel drive that is fantastic off-road but not so great in other areas, which I will cover throughout this video. And this particular version has also had some enhancements to make it a bit more urban friendly. So in this full detailed review, I'm going to cover everything you need to know. So of course, before we start, please like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and let's get straight into the review. Before we start, what are some of the key things that you need to know before you walk into a showroom? Well, firstly, there aren't many budget four-wheel drive vehicles available at this point in time, so I have put up a few different options for you to consider. And for the model range, there are 3 different versions to pick from, between 3 and 5 door, manual and automatic, and a wide selection of colours to choose from. And the one I have here is the GLX, which has been slightly enhanced by Mosfell Suzuki, and they have allowed me to road test this demonstrator, and they are located in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. And it's also worth noting that Mosfell Suzuki can organise customization options for your Jimny. So for example, painting all of the plastics and also organising customization for leather trim. And if you want to get in touch with them, I've shared their details in the description below. And finally, when it comes to ownership, warranty, servicing and running costs, all of that key data is on your screen right now. And if we now talk about styling, the front section gets the classic rounded headlight design, and opposed to halogen headlights like what you do get on the base model, this GLX model variant receives projector LED headlights with an automatic function, LED DRLs, but it is worth noting that the indicators are halogen and so are the fog lights. Looking over in the centre, an open air vent with plastic bumper bars, and for off-road driving, recovery points and headlight washers to clean the headlights from when you were going off-road. And now, moving on to the side view, all versions get 15-inch sized wheels, steel wheels for the light version and alloys for GLX. There are also front disc brakes and a drum brake setup at the rear. And as standard, all versions also get highway terrain tyres, whereas this has been fitted with all-terrain tyres, which are better for off-road driving, and also painted in black, which is all part of the customization from Mosfell Suzuki. Other key features also include black plastic cladding across to the side, black mirror caps, a black roof, and this design feature, so overall this car looks pretty retro. And if we now take a look at the rear design, at the back, looking lower down, you'll find a set of halogen rear combination lights integrated within that plastic bumper bar setup, wrapped in an all-terrain tyre with a gloss black hard cover, and finally, privacy glass from B-pillar to the back section. Right, moving on inside, this comes with a remote key with central locking, and the key slots into the ignition. And when it comes to design presentation, it does look and feel very basic, and so it should be. It is a durable four-wheel drive after all, but that means you do get some hardcore durable materials. So the dashboard is rock hard, even on the bottom section, and there are also hard plastics across the door, which means it is uncomfortable resting your elbow on that section there, and you don't get an armrest, which is a bit of a shame. And that bottom section does look pretty bare, but of course being a GXL, you get a leather accented steering wheel that feels okay to grip onto, but it only offers tilt adjustment, not reach. Cloth upholstery on the standard version, but as you can see, these have been retrimmed by Mosfell Suzuki to accented leather, and the seats are much more comfortable compared to the standard version. And this also includes green accents in the centre, green stitching and green logos. And in terms of comfort features, the seats are manually adjustable, and finally in the centre, standard air conditioning, hot and cold. And now moving on to infotainment, it all runs off this 7-inch screen, which includes these touch sensitive controls and buttons on the steering wheel, but there is no inbuilt satellite navigation if that matters to you or not, but you do get voice recognition, and for media functions, a 4-speaker sound system which doesn't sound all that great, but there is AM and FM radio, Bluetooth, USB, and when it comes to smartphone integration, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which are both wired, and I think that is what most people are going to use using this system. Next, moving on to safety functions. This comes with a reverse view camera with parking guidelines, rear parking sensors, autonomous emergency braking, a lane departure warning with adaptive cruise control if you step up to the automatic versions, whereas the manual versions get normal cruise control along with an integrated speed limiter. There's also a retro themed gauge cluster which looks pretty cool, and a screen in the middle that shows you all of your vital fuel consumption information. And now moving on to off-road controls, there's a gear selected down the bottom here, so 2 high for on-road driving, 4 high for off-road driving, and you just push this down and back to lock it into 4 low. And this button here is your hill descent control, and there's also hill start assist as well. And finally, storage. The glove box is quite small, but not as small as the tiny door pockets on the doors. Sun visors with mirrors up the top here, and your lights over here as well. There are also 2 small cup holders, a little bit of storage, but nothing else in the center. And for connectivity, a 12-volt socket with a USB-A charging port and a section there for your phone. And it is worth noting that your window switches are down the bottom here, and a grab handle up the top here. Here in the back with this driver's seat set in my position, knee room is pretty tight, but I've still got good toe room. Headroom is pretty good, but that is only if you recline the back seat backwards, and therefore reducing boot volume. And it's not a car that you want to spend longer than 45 minutes in the back because there are a lot of hard plastics. It is only a 2-seater, so it is cramped for 2 people in the back. But you do get grab handles up the top here, a light, map pockets, but you will have to share the 2 cup holders with your front passengers. And finally, for child seats, the 2 outboard seats are ISOFIX compatible, and right behind me, there are 3 top tether points. Right, moving on to boot space. So, as you can see, the Jimny gets a side swinging tailgate, which does open up quite wide, and that can be a bit impractical if you do reverse park at a shopping centre. And what is also impractical with this 3-door version is the boot space. So as you can see, only enough room for shopping bags, school bags, nothing else. But if you do want to carry something bigger, you can quite easily drop down the second row seats just like that, but then you'll lose your back seats. So the simple solution would be to step up to the XL if that matters to you, because that gets 2 extra doors, a bit more boot volume thanks to the extended wheelbase, and top tether points on the seat backs opposed to them being located down the bottom here. And in terms of boot volume between this 3-door and the 5-door, all of the key specifications are on the screen right now, so you can decide which is the right Jimny for your needs. Now, in terms of other key features, you've got some underfloor storage under here to keep items hidden, and this section also is removable, and if you dig lower down, that is going to reveal the spare toolkit and jack. There's also a 12-volt socket, and the boot lining is finished off in durable hard plastic, so this is all easy to clean off. Let's now cover off the powertrain. So under the bonnet features a 1.5 litre non-turbo 4-cylinder petrol engine, which produces 75 kilowatts and 130 newton meters of torque, and this is paired to a 5-speed manual. And it's also worth noting that this comes with a selectable 4-wheel drive low-range transfer case. There are also rigid live axles with coil springs on all 4 corners, and the Jimny also sits on a ladder frame chassis, so it is durable when it comes to off-road driving. And for all the key specifications about front and rear departure angles, all that information is on your screen right now. So before it gets too cold and windy, let's go for a drive. Right, moving on to the driving impressions. Over the bonnet, there's great forward visibility. There's also good side vision, squared off wing mirrors, and at the back, visibility is also pretty good, and you can see every corner of the car. This also has a short turning circle, so it's nice and manoeuvrable around town. The steering is a little bit firm at lower speeds, but most of the time it is quite light. But it does feel very disconnected from the front wheels, so you don't have a good sense of cornering. And the brakes, yeah, they're a bit spongy, and the ride isn't really that great, but overall that's not what this car is all about, is it? it's an off-road capable vehicle on a budget that is very good off-road, but not so good at on-road driving, and I think that is fine. And I want to point out that I'm not going to go off-road in this review, but I will do so in another video. But this video is all about on-road driving capabilities. I can understand why people would go for the automatic, because the manual does take a bit of time getting used to. But yeah, if you're used to manual cars or driving four-wheel drive vehicles from 20 years ago, then you shouldn't have any issues at all. And I think that is a great quality to have. And it's also worth pointing out, on a long trip, the hard plastic can hurt your arm a bit. And there's also no armrest, but you can get that retrofitted, or you can buy one that slots into the cup holders. But I've got to say, these seats are a big improvement in terms of the customization, much better compared to the standard cloth seats. And whilst we're up to speed, as you can hear, there's a lot of noise coming into the cabin, a lot of wind noise thanks to the shape of the car, and a little bit of engine groan as well when you build up revs. So yeah, it's not going to be that enjoyable on the freeway. And when you accelerate, the car makes a lot of noise, but it doesn't really move. It takes a while to get to 100, and the brakes are okay, it's just when you brake hard, the steering wobbles. So yeah, as a bit of a wrap up, this car is compromised when it comes to on-road driving, but for off-road driving, which wouldn't really surprise anyone watching, this car is very capable. And if you do need to go to the shops, go downtown from the farm, then yeah, driving around at low speeds, going over gravel surfaces, it seems to be fine for those sorts of trips. And finally, fuel consumption. On your screen is what Suzuki claims, around 6.4 litres for the manual and just under 7 litres for the automatic. And I've also included what I was able to achieve, and I thought that was pretty reasonable. But just keep in mind, like every off-road vehicle, that figure will rise a little bit when you are going off-road, but overall pretty happy with those figures. So with my driving impressions out of the way, let's now wrap up with a verdict. So then, my final verdict on the 3-door Jimny. Well, in terms of price point, there aren't many four-wheel drives these days that come close to this, and although this generation Jimny has been with us for a few years now, it is still highly regarded as being very popular in terms of demand. But let me know your feedback down in the comments below. Would you buy this or buy something else? And of course, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date with my latest videos, because I've got more four-wheel drive content coming very soon. And I will see you in the next film. Thanks for watching.